I did. It was absolutely amazing to see him. I felt so honored to be with him and to have a little treatment with him. So I'm feeling fresh and so excited to be with such an amazing community. I have to say before we start, I have been seeing so many Instagram stories and tags and excitement, and I honestly have never known such a enthusiastic and energized and kind community. So I feel so excited to be talking to you guys tonight.
I'm sure everybody's just buzzing to hear that. Thank you so much. Roxy, before we get started, as you know, we have multiple languages joining us tonight. So what I wanted to do was just for anyone joining us who would need an interpreter, Spanish or Polish, on your Zoom, you will see a globe at the bottom. If you're on your phone, you will have to click on the button that says more and choose interpretation and the language that you would like to hear this webinar in. So we're just under 700 attendees so far. And for those who are joining us from the different countries, please feel free to use our interpreter services as well through the bottom of your menu on Zoom. So let's get started, Roxy. We have a lot to talk about, and not, I wish I had all night, but obviously you're busy, I'm busy, and I know that everybody's been so excited to attend this call. So without further ado, I wanted to formally introduce Roxy, someone that I've been following for many years from the start of her journey, and someone who I very much admire in the sense of the way that she lives her life, particularly through the art of manifestation, because it resonates tremendously with myself, and I'm sure most of the community, both professionally and personally. So we're really excited to get to know you a little bit more. Roxy has been hailed as the manifesting queen by Forbes and the Financial Times. Roxy is a renowned self-development coach, inspirational speaker, manifesting expert, and a two-time Sunday Times best-selling author of Manifest, 7 Steps to Living Your Best Life, and Manifest, Dive Deeper. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so
much. You have so much to be proud of. And I know that the community just wants to hear from you. So I'm going to dive right into the questions, if you don't mind. These questions are all from our community. We've been gathering them for quite some time now. And we had an overwhelming amount of questions, but we had to choose some. So Roxy and I met earlier this week, and we chose what we thought would be relevant for the majority of the attendees of the webinar.
Amazing.
Should we get started?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. So the first question is, Roxy, could you start by defining what manifesting is?
Yes, always a great question to kick off with. So manifesting is using the power of your mind to change and create the reality you experience. So I'll say that again slowly for you. Manifesting is using the power of your mind to change and create the reality you experience. And to manifest literally means to make it happen. And to me, manifestation is a self-development practice. It's a way of living. It's a life guide, essentially. And so my book, I always say, yes, it is a book on manifestation, but really it's just a book on self-help. It's a book on making your life as good as it can possibly be and becoming the best version of you that you can be.
Wow, amazing. I wish I could hear that every morning.
We can arrange that.
Thank you. And how did you discover manifesting? How did it change your own life once you discovered it?
So back in my 20s, I was extremely lost. And in May 2018, I had kind of hit rock bottom. I was 27 years old at the time, and I'd been in a battle with addiction to cocaine and alcohol and cigarettes for 10 years. And up until that point, for my whole life, really, I had suffered from depression, severe self-loathing, a very, very deep-rooted self-hatred. I had no confidence, no sense of self-worth, and I was very lonely. I always sort of felt like an outsider looking in. And this was really difficult for me, but I also just had decided, this is who I am, this is what my life is. And at this rock bottom in May 2018, a friend of mine said, you should listen to this podcast on manifesting. And I thought, oh my God, I will try anything. So I listened to it and something in me clicked. And what clicked was that manifestation was really all about self-worth. And I had none. So maybe I was manifesting, but in the wrong direction.
Mm.
So I started researching this practice and I started delving into the self-development world. And 2 weeks later, on the 7th of June, 2018, a man named Wade messaged me on a dating app. And a year to the day, on the 7th of June, 2019, our baby boy Wolf was born. And now, here I am 5 years later, and my life could not look more different. And it really is all thanks to the power of manifestation.
Wow. Yeah, you must look back and think, wow, where was I and where am I today, and how that transformation happened.
Yeah, it feels unbelievable and I feel so grateful. And every 6 months, I feel like there's a shift. And I think that's the beauty of this practice is you're constantly evolving and growing.
Mm.
And really it's something, and it's a practice that is for everybody. Manifestation doesn't care where you're from, who you are. It's all inclusive. Everybody can change their lives with this practice, and it's free. It costs you nothing.
Yes, yes, it lives inside of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
actually I used the word metamorphosis to one of our club members recently because
Mm,
of the transformation and the change that I've seen in the person. And I think manifestation is also very similar to that. You're constantly kind of manifesting the newness of what you want in your life and accepting it and, evolving with it. So it's a very beautiful practice.
absolutely. I love that. Great word.
Thank you. So two-time Sunday Times bestseller.
It's a tongue twister,
Um,
that.
yeah, it is. And I know I've got your book. It's at my bedside, and I've read it a couple of times and done some underlines in it. And I know we don't have enough time to go through the entire book, but can you take us very quickly through the 7 steps to manifesting and maybe call out one or two that you think the community would very much value?
Mhm. So step one is be clear in your vision. So essentially at the beginning of any journey, any manifesting journey, we are asked to look at what do we actually want from our life? What goals do we have? What intentions do we have for our future? Where do we want to be 1 year from now? And I think the most important question actually is who do we want to become? And I think that even if some of us don't know our specific goals, we do know who we want to become, because for most of us, we want to become more confident. We want to become more empowered. We want to feel more at peace. We want more joy in our lives. We want to have perhaps more adventure. We know how we want to feel within our lives. And so this is the kind of very first step of manifesting, is getting that kind of clarity. And, within the book, there's lots of ways you can do that, whether it's with visualization meditations or making vision boards. But this is, the fundamental, and at the very start is that clarity. What do you want? Step two is remove fear and doubt. And this is by far the most important step of manifestation. So fear and doubt is a culmination of all our insecurities, low self-worth, limiting beliefs. And the reason it's so important is because we can only manifest what we subconsciously believe we are worthy of receiving. Okay, so just say that again. We can only manifest what we subconsciously believe we are worthy of receiving. And so what stands in the way of all of us and our dreams and our hopes and our desires is these two things, our fear and doubt. We are essentially standing in our own way. And that's what makes manifestation a self-development practice, because you're asked to really start to heal those wounds, to look back at, when did you first start to believe that you weren't enough as you are? When did you first start to believe that you weren't worthy of unconditional love, or that you weren't worthy of success? And how can we start to change those belief systems? And I think that especially as women, we are riddled with self-doubt, and we find it often very hard to put ourselves first, to know how special we are, to know our worth, to feel like we can take up space and be empowered. And this practice really asks you to do all of those things. In fact, it forces you to, because it's such an essential ingredient of the manifesting process. And so I have lots of different techniques in my books of how we can change our belief systems, you know, by the things that we do day to day. And some of those things are using positive affirmations. Some of them are just changing the way that we speak to ourselves. You know, I'll give you one really lovely little tip from the book. It's one of my favorites. Okay, so it's really important just to say the language that we use, because our subconscious, it trusts everything that you say. So if you're going around and saying, I'm no good, good things don't happen to me, I'm useless, your subconscious will look for evidence to support that. Whereas if you're going around and you're saying, today is going to be an incredible day, good things are meant for me, I am abundant, I love the person that I am, your subconscious will go, okay, that's the truth. It can't differentiate truth from a lie. And then it's going to try to seek out evidence to support that. So your whole interpretation of your life is going to be different based on what you're saying to yourself and what evidence your brain is then trying to find to back up those statements. Now, day to day, we often get compliments from people, okay? So you'll meet a friend and they'll say to you, you look lovely today. You look so nice. And what do most of us do? We say, oh gosh, no, I don't. I look terrible. I slept terribly. In fact, I look like shit, okay? This is the kind of thing that we say when somebody compliments us. So what we do is we tell our subconscious, no, it's not true. I look terrible. I didn't sleep well. I'm no good. And we just bat away the compliment entirely, which is also really annoying for the person who gave you the compliment, because then they have to say, no, you do. And then you do the back and forth, right? We've all been there. So I ask people to change that and make this one change from tomorrow. When somebody gives you a compliment, I just want you to say these two magical words: thank you. That's it. So you take a moment when somebody gives you a compliment, no matter how small or how big, and you take a moment to pause, you accept it, you take it in, and you say, thank you. And it's such a tiny little shift that actually makes such a huge impact. I love this little tool. I'd love to share 100 tools with you tonight. We don't have time, but that's one I'd like you to take away with you. Step 3 is then align your behavior. So step 3 is about taking action. It's about forward momentum. It's about taking risks. It's about stepping outside your comfort zone. Essentially, it's about aligning your behavior with your best self, with your highest self, and with your future goals. So if there's things that you want to achieve and goals you want to reach, you know there are things and steps you're going to have to take to get there. And this step is all about that. It's about self-discipline. It's about putting yourself out there and being the person that you want to become, showing up as that person. And this is really important. You know, we need that self-discipline. We need that self-respect. And we need to have the confidence. Well, it comes in 2 ways. We need the confidence to take the risks, but actually taking the risks, we build our confidence. So you don't wait to feel confident to do it. You do it and know that in doing it, you're going to feel more confident afterwards, because there's that sense of pride, that sense of achievement, and that sense of self-celebration.
I love that.
Step 4 is then overcome tests from the universe. So this is, how do you handle challenges, or as I call them, tests? Now, I said that manifesting is a life practice. It's a way of living, which means that you are going to face challenges along the way. You're going to face rejection. There's going to be people that say no to you. There's going to be people that put obstacles in your way. But with everything that we meet, with every challenge we meet, with every obstacle we meet, we have a choice. Do we allow that challenge to derail us, to say to us, see, you're no good. See, it was obviously not going to what happened for you, and allow it to feed into that fear and doubt? Or are you able to stand strong and say, what lesson can I take from this? What learning can I take? What value can I take? And how can I use that to propel me forward to the next stage? And it is my absolute belief that every time we overcome a challenge, any challenge, or we accept rejection in a graceful way, or we go through a hard time and we come out the other side, we are rewarded. We are rewarded and we up level. So I have this, in my second book, I have this chapter which says rock bottoms and leveling up. After every rock bottom, you level up, you get to the next stage. And so what this does is, even in those dark times, it gives you that sense of hope that things will improve, that things will get better. And that is a beautiful thing. So it helps you to deal with the ebbs and flows of life in a much better way. Step 5 is embrace gratitude. So manifesting isn't just about more, more, more. It's actually about making the life that you already have feel as good as possible. And gratitude puts us in an abundant mindset. Now, this is key to the manifestation process and to attracting more abundance into our lives. So the more we focus on the things that we have, that we already have, no matter how small, the more we focus on them, the more abundant we feel. We feel that we have enough happiness, love, success. We have enough. We are abundant. And in turn, the universe will give us more things to be grateful for. So my mom used to say this phrase to me, which kind of describes this step perfectly. For every thanks you give, you get 1,000 in return. It was an Arabic phrase, and it's just a perfect description. Step 6 is turn envy into inspiration. So of course, there's always going to be competition. There's always going to be comparison. There's always going to be an opportunity where we can go online or see our friends succeeding, and if we allow that to feed into those fears and doubts, to feed into that feeling of low self-worth. And it's really important that we identify it when it's coming up for us and not shame ourselves. It's totally normal to feel envious, but how can we transform that envy into inspiration? How can we see someone else's success and say, they're doing it and I can do it too? That again comes from an abundant mindset. There's enough for us all. There's enough money and love and success for all of us. There's a really empowering little tool for you to use. And then step 7 is trust in the universe. And this is all about surrender. It's about trust. It's not about holding on desperately, tightly, obsessing. You know, that's actually going to deter us from reaching our goals, that desperate energy. This is about, I know it's coming. I don't need to know exactly how. I don't need to control every step of the way. But I know that what I want is coming for me. And one thing that you can do is you can start to look out for little synchronicities in your life. When are you thinking about someone and they call you? When are you thinking about a song and it plays on the radio? These are all little signs from the universe to let you know that it's always listening. So that's the quickest I have ever said my 7 steps.
And they're all equally important, I'm sure. But the little tips, I think, will help everyone grasp kind of the overall idea. And I think that's fantastic. You know, I would love, there a couple of times the question came up. Can you give our club members an example of how you overcame a difficult moment in your life? Because, you know, we have a large community of women and men who are a part of this beautiful, shining, growing community. And they're all here for their own reasons. We work on, their pace, in their space, on their time. It's very much about the flexibility that we have and what it is that the member would like to get out of the community and the club. But I'm sure every single one of them, including myself, have had difficult moments in our lives. So it's nice to hear from someone who is the manifesting queen, to know that you probably had it too, but how did you overcome it?
Oh my gosh, I've had many low points. You know, I'll tell you at the beginning of last year, it was January 2023. And it, I'd actually, the year prior to it, 2022, I'd had an extremely successful year. Suddenly I'd manifested great success at work. I had a profitable business. I'd grown at a rate that I couldn't even imagine. And all of a sudden, January 2023 came, and I had just had a surgery, and there had been a few complications. And I had a few very triggering personal experiences, and I suddenly felt like I had spiraled back to the worst place I'd been since back in 2018. And my anxiety was extremely bad. I had absolutely, again, those very obsessive thoughts, which are all related to this deep self-hatred. That inner critic was so loud. I was having panic attacks while launching my second book. It was a really tough time. But I knew in my heart that there was going to be a reward on the other side, that something better was coming. So that was the first thing. It gave me hope. And then I started to think about, okay, this is showing me that there still is work to be done here. I still need to heal some of those wounds. So I started journaling. What are the patterns coming up? Where from my childhood this has come from? I often say to people, I know that we don't love to look back. A lot of us, I was the same. I used to think, what's the point in looking at my childhood when actually, I want to look forward. But to heal and to really liberate ourselves, we do have to look at our past. Why do we feel this way about ourselves? Why are we being triggered in this way? So I started looking at my past. I started talking to people. Found a therapist, and I started using these tiny little rituals that manifesting had taught me, like meditation, using affirmations. I was making sure that I was doing the basics, like eating nutritious food, getting enough sleep, getting out for daily walks. And I knew that it would pass. That was the most important thing. I knew it would pass. And it absolutely did. And I healed, and I came to another level. And then in the September that year, I had another little blip, and the same again, and then an up level on the other side. So, it keeps happening in that way. You reach a level, you heal, then you go through a tough time, you up level. It's a beautiful journey. And look, we need the down times. We need the hard times to grow. Otherwise, if we felt truly happy and at peace, and we lived our perfect day every single day, we would get bored, and we would eventually honestly feel depressed.
Yeah.
That's not, as humans, what we're looking for is to feel one way all the time and always happy. It's not possible. We need to feel that we are growing, that we're learning, that we're evolving, that we're moving forward. And actually, when you have those challenging times, it makes you appreciate the good times so much more.
Absolutely. That's amazing. And you're right. I mean, we all go through the up and down, and another saying, this too shall pass,
Yeah, I love it.
which it often does. And when
Yeah,
we're going through it, it's one of the most difficult moments in our lives, right?
exactly.
So I would like to ask you to give a piece of advice to our club members tonight on how they can reach their personal success, confidence, and happiness.
Mm. Well, first, I think everything starts with a decision. Okay, so it's making a decision with yourself. Is this what you really want? And I think for most of you listening, the answer is a hell yes. Like, I am ready. I'm ready to finally be happy. And that really has to be a strong internal decision at the beginning. And it's one that I think that actually we don't think about, because we're just trying to kind of get through life. But one day you have to stop and say, do you know what? Maybe I haven't been giving myself the best opportunity to be happy and to feel success. And today I'm making a decision. I want to change things. I want to change the way that I approach life. I want to change the way I treat myself. I want to change the outcome of my life. And especially here, as we're approaching, we're still in January, it's the start of a new year. We have so much opportunity ahead of us. Where do you want to be at the end of this year? And you decide where that you want to be, and you go to that step one, be clear in your vision. And that really is the starting point. And I think then figure out your your why. Like, what are these things that you want, and what's the purpose that is leading behind it? Whatever it is that you're doing, there has to be this sense of meaning and purpose and fulfillment that's really driving that, because that why is really going to help you, on the days that you don't feel like doing it. But
Yeah.
I think that, above everything, and it's something that we hear time and time and time again, but we still really struggle to do it, is about changing the way that we speak to ourselves. I think it's so hard for us to speak kindly to ourselves, but really is so important. And I just want to give you one example of how I can see how important it is. So I have somebody in my life who I used to go to always speak specifically about my insecurities. We have different people in our lives. So this one person was somebody that I could very openly speak to about how insecure I was feeling. I would say to them, oh, I'm feeling disgusting today, or this happened, or it would just be the person I could vent to. Now, for no hard feeling reasons, but this person recently left, is not in my life in the same way. We no longer have that same relationship. Now, since they've not been around and I've not been voicing these insecurities, I have not been feeling them.
Wow.
And I haven't had a single day of like severe self-loathing since. Now, this is not because they're not in my life, they're wonderful people. It's because I'm not giving space to my insecurities. I'm not giving them room to exist. I'm not giving them power. So I think it's really important for you to ask yourselves, what are you giving power to? Are you giving power to your insecurities, or can you give power to the cheerleader inside you, to the higher self inside you, who's saying, come on, you've got this, you can do it?
I love that. The cheerleader inside of you. I think we all need to kind of tap into that and in all of the days and make sure that that cheerleader is loud and proud and happy, essentially.
Exactly.
So, we talk about manifestation, but there's some other stuff beyond manifestation. How does wellness, skincare, and beauty play into the manifestation process? You talked about it a little bit earlier, but we're a skincare
Yeah.
community. We're all about transforming skin, working with the leading dermatologist in the world who's seeing, some of the most famous faces in the world. How does that all tie into manifestation?
Well, I said at the beginning of this call that one of the most important things is about manifesting. The secret of manifesting is that we manifest what we subconsciously believe we are worthy of receiving. And the universe is always listening, it's always watching, and it's seeing what we're doing, how we're treating ourselves. And all of that is a reflection of our self-worth. So if we are treating ourselves well by looking after ourselves, by looking after our skin, by eating good food, by taking care of ourselves, by taking our supplements, that is a reflection of self-worth, of self-respect, and of self-love. And that is the place that we manifest from. So I always say to people, look, there's no point really in trying to manifest if day to day you're treating yourself like shit. It's not going to work. You can't do both. We should be prioritizing self-care because it is a reflection of how we feel about ourselves and how worthy we feel of love and happiness and success.
Absolutely. I mean, I know when I get up in the morning and I do my skincare ritual and I drink my water, and that for me is a moment of just clarity and peace almost,
Oh, absolutely. I cannot
Yeah.
wait after this call. I'm gonna
Me too.
get my cleanser on, get my makeup on, my moisturizer on, say a few affirmations, and feel all fresh and clean for bed.
Absolutely. So that leads me to our last question. And the last question is a special one for the community because within our mission, we're very much about providing opportunities and transforming lives, particularly through women empowerment, and we very much support that. We also work with a foundation in the UK, the Girls Network, where we mentor young ladies who come from underprivileged, families or neighborhoods, and we give them our time to make sure that they're growing up in a community where they can be successful and they can have that voice of manifestation and become what they want. So how does women empowerment resonate with you? And do you think this is something we can achieve together as a group, or is it an individual thing?
I think that's such an important question. And I think the answer is that it's absolutely both. I think that we must learn to empower ourselves. And I think a big part of my personal mission is helping women to feel empowered within themselves, to feel that they have the inner strength that they need to show up, to take up space, to be their best selves, to thrive, to feel confident, to feel happy, because I truly believe it's what each and every one of us deserve. But we also need to be surrounded by other women who will help us to do that, to be part of a community that will be willing to celebrate each other's successes, that
Yes.
can all be on the same mission of feeling good, of allowing each other to feel good about ourselves, to share our wins. I think it's so integral. And we also want to be around people who have the same mindset, who also want to
Absolutely.
grow, who aren't trying to hold us back as we try to grow. And I always say to people, when you're on a manifesting journey, likely there will be a lot of people in your lives who aren't ready to grow with you. In fact, they don't want to see you change because they like you to be
The way you
stuck
are.
where you
Yes.
are.
Yeah.
Some people, it's really a sad truth, but they like us being upset or sad or down because they feel more needed. Now, when this happens, it's really important that we have a community we can turn to who can actually, where we feel safe. We feel safe to grow and to enjoy life with, and to, like I said before, share the wins. So I think, what you're doing here and what you're creating, I was incredibly impressed. And to see the community on the Instagram, to see that excitement and that joy, I think this is something really, really special. And the fact that you're all on here together and you're on the manifesting journey together and you can talk about it. And what I'd really encourage is that when one of you wins, make it feel like everybody's winning.
I love that.
One person's win is all of your wins. And actually that is going to put you in that abundant mindset. If somebody, I don't know if you have like group chats or how it works, but
Oh, yeah.
if one
Yeah.
person says, I did this, I want everyone to be like, yes, celebrate each other. Because what you're saying to the universe is, I'm not threatened, I'm thriving. And together, all of you will thrive. It will be a collective and a beautiful thing to witness.
Amazing. Oh, that's such a great note to end on, because you almost described what our community is about and our mission that we are on to create. It's all about supporting each other, winning together, watching the transformation in the lives of families and individuals that are in the community. So that's just a wonderful way to end this evening, Roxy. I'm so
Oh.
grateful to see you again and to be able to spend some time with you and 900 of our close friends.
Amazing.
I'm sure you'll see a lot of Instagram and social media posts after this call as well.
Yeah.
You're very inspiring.
Oh,
You
thank
deserve everything that
you.
is coming
Oh,
your way.
that's
And I know that you're on a beautiful journey. We have a second call together.
we do. I'm so
Um,
excited.
I am too. We have totally different questions, and we have a totally different conversation set up for that. That's happening on the 20th of February
Yeah.
for everyone that is in our VIP membership as customers and members. So we welcome everybody again on the 20th of February. Until then, Roxy, take care.
Oh, thank you. You too. And wishing everyone all the success and a wonderful few weeks till I see you next.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.